some people try to take Syndra down into bot lane, but typically the people that took Syndra into bot lane weren't really capable of piloting her for the reason that you would pick Syndra and then try to take her down bot. So we often just ended up getting handshakes as Graves is now locked in for T1. I'm really happy to see this. Graves, giga undervalued in the current meta, as Trundle is gonna self-counterpick himself, which is a bit peculiar.
Yeah, but it's understandable. Of course, DRX do put a lot of priority on the Trundle, as Pyke is going to be banned away from T1. And the center is still available, guys. And I saw a sneaky message from our old friend Papa Smithy in chat wondering about whether the Senna Victor bottom lane is a possibility. Of course, we'll be able to shove extraordinarily quickly. Likely that Carrier will be piloting the Senna in that situation, but getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit. T1 could ban it away if they would like to, and the Yuumi is going to be taken off the board first.
Well, Pyke and Morgana both banned away by DRX. T1 targeting the Yuumi, not wanting to go up against that. And the interesting thing about this Victor is that it retains its flex potential.
Yeah.
For so long, if it does have the option to go down into the AD carry role. And this does make some of the bans a little bit difficult for T1 because there's not really a whole bunch of goodness that you could try to target. Silas is going to end up getting hit.
And that's Tom Kent.
Take it away.
So, yeah. We're going to have to call someone in. Papa, if you could just hop in the call. We'll get Brendan Valdez here. Ellis and I need to go. Timothy has jumped in, and it's confusing to say the least. And now Effort can counterpick to his heart's content. Certainly a lot of options, considering the Blitzcrank for the moment. Karma is available that we've seen have so much success, but Brad is another pretty diabolical pick into the Tahm Kench. So T1 already punishing this pickup. As now Effort wondering what they're going to do as far as rounding out this roster is concerned. And Faker's pick, it should be coming in at this particular point.
And what is he going to likely... Okay, well, it's actually hovering Pantheon. And that could be Pantheon top lane and then the Ornn going mid. No, it's going to be a swap over to the Akali.
Okay, and this is what Chovy is going to have to deal with in this game. So, 20 seconds to go. What does Chovy decide to go with? Does he take away the Victor and use that instead? Certainly can deal with the Akali if you can get yourself to a decent position. And you can shove pretty relentlessly there, but we'll see where Carrier does decide to go. We still have an inkling that it is going to be the Victor on the bottom side, and Gangplank is locked in, so Doran to be piloting the Pirate most likely for the counter matchup into the Ornn, and Chovy will be taking potentially his famous Jace in the mid lane. Deft has also played Jace in international tournaments. It was awful. It was an absolutely terrible game. We're hoping he never does that again. So not likely that that's going to be happening, as we're going to be waiting another 10 seconds to find out where these solo laners are going.
Well, this is going to be 5 seconds remaining, so we'll wait to see what ends up getting locked in. T1 has an enormous amount of scaling, and it's going to be Chovy on the Gangplank. So this is really nice. This is actually one of the matchups where Gangplank can be flexed mid. It's very brutal for the Akali to try to play this game. Gangplank takes Grasp of the Undying. There's lots of squishies on the side of T1. He's going to scale up massively and really stifle the Akali's ability to be relevant in the mid game. So this is going to be pretty interesting across the board. Obviously, I would say that T1 has the leg up down in bot lane. We'll have to see why Victor is going to be selected. Now, he's one of the long-range mobile mages that is actually good against Ornn. Typically, Ornn can really break champions like Vel'Koz or like Xerath or even like Azir by getting on top of them. But Victor, with all of his mobility that's granted by his Q, his repositioning, his only... I mean, he has self-peel with Gravity Field, which morphs the terrain. Pretty good mage against Ornn. However, these drafts are pretty neck and neck, and even because there's a lot of power in different areas for both of them. And we're going to have to actually see how the game pans out. This was not what I was expecting in a game number one. T1, if this goes the distance, they have such insane scaling that things do get scary.
Yeah, and I mean, the Gangplank's going to scale very well. I mean, Victor is going to be a walking artillery cannon in the later stages of the game. but you always look at an Ornn, you look at a Graves, in fact. I mean, as far as scaling junglers are concerned, Graves certainly up there. And Aphelios needs no introduction alongside the Akali, which hasn't taken a lethal tempo this time. Of course, Faker likes to style by picking the wrong runes and then still winning. This time it is going to be the fleet footwork, as triple teleport has been taken by both of these squads. So getting towards these objectives when it comes to the mid and late game is certainly going to be a possibility for both of these teams. Just have to see how things go in the laning phase. This Victor pick for bottom lane, though, makes me feel like DRX just want to dodge the laning phase completely. They just want to clear out minion waves. They want to be as safe as possible with the Tahm Kench there, with the Devour, and then let Teddy do what he wants, but never give him added advantage. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
We'll have to see how this bot lane goes. Obviously, the Victor with the Tahm Kench is one of the things that is a bit worrisome, just because, like you're saying, they're trying to really dodge the laning phase. And the thing is that Victor takes a lot of time to come online, but likewise, Gangplank is sort of in the same school of thought, and that's where, when you start to look up at top lane and you see the Jace, things do get a little bit bizarre. So, Kana is going to be on the Ornn. That is the champion that historically does counter the Jace. We saw Nuggery actually put on a clinic, though, as the Jace against Ornn. That was actually against Doran, so we'll see how Doran can manage to do against Kana's Ornn. As we take a look at the runes, and for a Victor Tahm Kench lane, Scorch being selected, I'm not really sure you're going to get that much value. I have no clue why it's not Gathering Storm when you have GP Victor and you're trying to go for mid-game.
And you're playing against an Ornn as well. I mean, any help when it comes to getting some added scaling if the game is going to go late is going to be important. But DRX are a team that likes to play around early advantages, not necessarily late game ones. So let's just see how things go. As Kana versus Doran has started here towards the top side, we'll see what school of thought Doran's going to go for when it comes to the build path. Because there are certainly a few different options that you can have up your sleeve. As Chovy is just relentlessly shooting Faker. Faker going to be a little bit frustrated, but shouldn't be dying anytime soon. As Chovy, oh man, he's popping pellets at this Akali over and over again, and it must be getting frustrating.
And this is basically what this matchup is going to do. You take the Grasp of the Undying as Gangplank, you proc it on Faker endlessly every single time that it's up. It's going to summon a barrel right now. So he's not going to end up actually getting the crash. So even though it looks like Akali is having a bit... Okay, Faker stole his oil.
Yeah, but Chovy was still able to pop the next one and jumps on top of him. That's actually the passive, as we'll see whether Chovy is going to be able to go more aggressive. No, it looks like no flashes, respecting the fact that Faker does have his available. But this lane, as we were expecting, not going to be super fun for the Akali.
And things are definitely going to be scary. As you can see, Trundle, I mean, he's just continuing to power farm up right now, but Graves is very good as well at trying to do all of this. Chovy, he is just feeling really good right now. Faker, though, steals another barrel, so it's basically one extra CS that Akali has that's not just visible on the screen, because coming in, looking for any information on the camp's going to get the news about the Gromp respawn timer. Might even actually do it right now.
He could, certainly, and is going to head over there. Was thinking about backing. Speaking of a back, Chovy is going to teleport right back into this lane as Faker misses that CS. And Chovy's going to miss absolutely nothing as he gets back in. Does have just a Doran's Blade and some boots. Would have loved to go back and collect a Sheen, but thought that the lane state was good enough for Doran to just... Sorry, for Chovy to make it back to this lane and be very comfortable as he's looking to try and avoid, at least deter Faker from being able to take that cannon creep. Wasn't able to. Gets one of his own, though. But Faker, with his teleport still available, might be able to get a little bit better when it comes to the items on his next back. His deft down relatively low when it comes to mana, but otherwise is completely fine.
And the thing here is that Piotrek, he's now going to be down a camp because Cuz did manage to steal away the Gromp. Although, Cuz is pathing now. It looks like he's going to do Wolf's Gromp into top lane. If he would do Wolf's Gromp and then move immediately over to the Raptor camp, it would be a little bit peculiar. No, he's going to actually do Wolf Camp into moving mid, maybe wanting to relieve some of the pressure for Faker, who, remember, he hasn't even teleported yet. He's doing a really good job at just sustaining, and if you look at it and you see how this wave is being played out, you feel really good for Faker, as Chovy not really managing to pull the wave or anything, and you can also see that even the items that he has is what Gangplank would be able to achieve if he just did a cheater recall, but He's down the teleport. Faker's going to come back to lane and be sitting pretty, as Chovy does have level 6 now, but this is going to be a pretty slow and steady game, and everywhere for DRX, they're not managing to get advantages in the laning phase. Cuz is so far ahead in EXP, and Pioshek's wondering when the next patch for World of Warcraft's going to come out, because he's having a really hard time right now farming.
I think it's towards Christmas, as they're looking for Canna, puts down the pillar, but doesn't find too much more there, as T1 instantly have started off this dragon based on that added information that they did have available to them. I really love this. T1, they notice anything and they will take the maximum. And so this Ocean Drake will be taken down. We'll see what the next one's going to be, as Infernal Drake coming up next, and we will of course have a Cloud Soul for game number 1. As Doran going to get knocked up, Canna, not with a lot of mana available, but you can see Doran just walking into that one, flash forward, and that was just disrespectful out of Doran. First blood so easily for Canna.
And Kana still has his spellbook available, I believe, so everything is just going really bad right now for DRX. You have an Akali that's going even against Gangplank in the mid lane, and this is a byproduct to how Chovy chose to play out the lane. Now Faker drawing a lot of aggro here.
Yep, barrel comes down. They do get the flash out. Yeah, double flashes in here, as Pioshek's going to be able to take down the Akali. Cuz has been exhausted as Kerry is chasing after them, but Magical Journey gets them safely into the red buff pit. So 1-1 and very even on gold at this stage, but the added Drake and the power top lane is in favor of T1.
Yeah, and the thing is that if Faker just didn't do that, he was winning so hard against the Gangplank, but now losing out on the cannon wave, yes, it's going to be picked up by Cuz. Chovy does manage to stabilize a little bit, so really unfortunate right there. Just very greedy play by Faker, ends up getting punished. Take a look at this. So Doran tries to get the whole crash in. He tries to turn around to get the knockback on Orb.
캐리 해줄게 내가. 오케이 나이스.
오, 빼요!
이거 트런들 잡고 먹고 갈 수 있어 상도아.
And then it immediately cuts to a replay here. This is Faker versus Chovy. Gangplank ult comes out defensively, and then he tries to run to get the recall off. And what Faker's trying to do here is clear out the minion wave, stop the recall one more time, because then he would just be able to be super far ahead of the Gangplank if he could lock him in lane, but not anticipating the Trundle to be there as well. And he ends up going down. So very unfortunate for his lane state. He was already also down a little bit in EXP, but shouldn't be the end of the world by any means. I would say that T1 are still ahead in this game, even though they are down about 500, 600 gold.
Especially with this minion wave ready to be eaten by Teddy on the bottom side of the map. He should be able to get relatively close to even CS, but kudos goes to DRX with Carrier being able to rotate around. I mean, Deft right now is struggling just a little bit. Does get booped by effort, but he's otherwise okay and is still continuing to stay ahead in farm. So this bottom lane is achieving exactly what it wanted to achieve at this stage of the game. Already with that first Hex Core upgrade, you can see Chovy comes back with a Sheen. He's going to be more difficult to deal with, and will have his ultimate back available again very soon. I think there is a world where DRX can win team fights, but I'm super worried about what happens when they get there, and it's DRX against T1, right? Like, I just feel like T1 always knows how to fight against DRX, not necessarily their composition, just the players.
Yeah, I mean, that was how they ended up winning one of the matches previously in the face of a massive draft deficit. And this one, obviously, much closer, with the edge going to T1 once the items start going to 4, 5, 6. Even though there's a Victor and a Gangplank, things just get really hard as, okay, pick scaling comp, rotate for Herald, and see how it works, Cotton.
Yeah, well, Carrier is going to go down very low, eats the Grey Health, flashes away, but in goes Faker. Is able to execute the Tahm Kench, but now he's on the wrong side. He's got the Shroud, but already 2 kills have come in as Teddy takes a Magical Journey. Looks for the next one, but Faker steals it away. And T1 find another fantastic team fight in this matchup against DRX. And it started very early in this game.
And it feels like this game is all right, so if we identify the game state as T1 being ahead when they're slightly behind in gold, they're now ahead in gold. And like I was saying right before that fight ended up transpiring, you pick a scaling team composition, you rotate for Herald, but we've talked about this many times on the broadcast. They've talked about it in LCS, LEC as well, that if you rotate for the Herald and the enemy gets free minion waves or turret plates while you do that, it ends up actually being a net loss. Even if you collapse the Herald into a turret to get advantage, the XP has to be accounted for. But here, T1 ends up actually rotating everything. You can see Chovy split, and it just doesn't make any sense. They would have dragged all their members to the top-hand side of the map, and T1 basically say to straighten up, as these champions aren't in a position to teamfight. They never would be at this stage of the game, so really reckless, and T1 are just so far ahead right now in this game number 1.
Absolutely, and we'll see what DRX can actually do with this Rift Herald that they sacrificed so much for. As you can see, Pyosik is going to take down Bertha, and then look towards the bottom lane. 5 seconds, and we'll have an Infernal Drake on our hands as well. As you can see, DRX with control of the bottom lane, and Pyosik wanting to get over here and take this dragon away. DRX should be able to get some work done here. Faker just making his way back from base right now. But Chovy's going back, very close to having his flashback available, as T1 look like they are going to fight for this. Teleport coming in, it's down very low. There's the Tempered Fate, and Pyosik doesn't have his flash available. He will have to use that ultimate, but the Devour comes in first. Faker now in the backline. The Dragon is stolen away, but this is all about the Akali and what he can do to try and eradicate DRX. Looks like he's not going to go too far forward, and Mountain Soul is coming in. Thankfully, I successfully cast a curse at this time around, and we're not going to have any boring Cloud Drakes.
And the thing about the Mountain Soul that's so problematic for DRX is it really hurts the Jace. It really hurts the Victor. These are champions that, obviously, Jace is going to build a lot of lethality. And so any little bit of extra resistance is going to be really problematic for him. Also, the way that he's going to conduct himself, the Mountain Soul, if T1 gets to it, it's going to really nullify him. Victor can't typically get to any sort of pen until later stages of the game. We're talking 4 or 5 items generally is when Victor's pen items are going to end up coming in, and that's just the nature of the champion. Gangplank, likewise, wants to go for the Trinity Force, wants to go for the crit. So these are really problematic dragons that T1 ended up rolling. And Atlas, I don't like to call games super early, and I think a lot of people would think it's ridiculous to call it when the gold score is so neck and neck, but gold score doesn't paint the state of this game. The state of this game is Gangplank and Victor are going to be behind in the mid game. They're not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe against T1, which means we're going to go to a soul point in favor of T1. And these champions on T1, when they're ahead, are so oppressive against DRXs.
Well, Faker is going to dive on top of Chovy. There's the Cannon Barrage. They're going to trade ultimates for the moment. Second charge not there anymore for Faker, so no more aggression as DRX are going to put down Shelly on the top side. As Cannon's looking to try and at least stop something. Gets a knock up, but that's only going to deny a few moments of Shelly's time, as she does eat up all of those plates on this turret. So, slight advantage here, but Deft will need a Devour here from Keria. Does get him into his belly, but Keria relatively low, and Cuz making his way in. Teddy should be taken down here as DRX have turned it bottom side, and now Cuz could be in trouble. There's the stopwatch from Keria. Deft very low, but Cuz as well takes that auto from the Victor and is in a lot of trouble. Abyssal Voyage, Deft can't get in, and Faker is going to be able to take down the Tahm Kench anyway. Actually smart of Deft not to get in there, otherwise that would have been a double kill for Faker with 1 5-point strike, but instead they're still able to get down here and take down a few plates on this turret. Sadly for T1 though, Teddy doesn't get any.
Yeah, so it ends up being a 2-for-1 in the end, not the end of the world, but T1 definitely making out ahead as Kana trying to run for his life right now. He's going to make it. He's going to dab on them with the Pengu emote.
These kids, man.
Yeah. 2 minutes until Mountain Soul comes up, and with all the jungle camps remaining, probably just going to have a full clear by both of these junglers. You have to wonder how close Akali is to the Gunblade. So let's take a look at how this all transpired. So, Deft walking up, knows that he has the Devour by Tahm Kench. Gravity Field ends up coming out, and Cuz actually kiting a little bit suboptimally, gets hit by the Gravity Field, but it doesn't matter because you have Faker coming around from the north for the flank, and they end up casting the heal on Bard. Got a little bit nervous perhaps against another Death Ray by Deft, but it doesn't matter. Abyssal Voyage comes out, donates Faker a kill, they get more turret plates, and now at 1.5 minutes until this Mountain Dragon is going to be coming up, and you look at everyone. Kana is going to have the Ignite for that team fight. You have Graves is ahead of the Trundle, Eye-Edge already completed on Aphelios, and Victor, he's just sitting there on his Hex Core completion, and that's not going to make Victor that scary. for this next team fight.
Well, Chovy is going to be scary, so we'll see whether the gangplank is going to be enough to turn this one for DRX. He does have his Trinity Force now completed. We're going to be sitting on 2 lethality items for Doran very soon as well, as T1 have started off Shirley under the noses of DRX. Decent stun there onto Carrier, but Canna gets inside track, and he's going to move down this river. Death turns up, but it looks like Shirley's just going to be given away. We're going to go Herald for Herald so far in this game, illustrating just how close this game actually is. I know, certainly not when you factor in scaling and things like that, but if you just look at the top of your screen like I am prone to do, it's about 300 gold the difference between these two squads. So as far as like actual money to be put to use when it comes to this next Dragon fight, certainly going to be an opportunity for DRX to find something, and they've got to start this snowball rolling ASAP if they're going to get to any sort of late game with some control. Like you already illustrated, it's just going to get harder and harder from here on out. And there's a Tempered Fate. Carrier will be able to gobble up this Victor if he wants to. Doesn't even have to here. As Effort taking a lot of damage. Chaos Storm comes down. Magical Journey gets the Bard out of there. Possible overextension, but you can see DRX just trying to get the health bars low on T1 and allow them to move over towards this Mountain Drake already. Teleport coming in from Doran, who does have his Duskblade completed. And throws out the Shock Blast. Teddy in trouble. Look at that lethality doing work as Chovy and Faker fighting it out. Faker getting that ultimate out of Chovy is a big deal, actually, as Chovy's still sitting on all of those oranges, and Faker now having to run for the hills. He does have teleport, but Pioshik's coming down as well. No Shroud for the next couple of seconds, as he doesn't go for the Alcove. Does get the Shuriken backflip, though, but there's the snipe! And Michael Jordan in the form of a Jace and Doran is going to be able to take down the Akali.
And that's really unfortunate for T1 because they give DRX over a Mountain Dragon for free, and that's Faker just being a little bit greedy there against the Gangplank. Had Chovy been kiting as best as he could have, he would have been able to actually solo the Akali there, which is a testament to just how unfortunate that situation would have been, or could have been, for T1. The kill ends up going over to Doran. Mountain Drake captured, and we got some action up here in the top lane. There's no turret plates, however.
Yep, just going to be that turret as Shirley is going to be answered by Doran on the bottom side. I think he does more than a Rift Herald at this point in the game. Certainly able to accelerate his auto attacks to the point where you can just shred these turrets down, and we'll get the crash on this minion wave bottom side. And you can see DRX have turned around that slight gold edge to now be in their favor, but if you're a DRX fan, don't start breathing any sighs of relief yet. It's not over until they have a pretty decent advantage moving towards 30 minutes in this game.
No, it's absolutely not, as the Mountain Dragon, when you look at it for DRX's members, no one really builds resistances except for the Tahm Kench and then obviously the Trundle. So none of the primary carries are going to be super tanky, at least not until the later stages. We'll get some resistances. And Chovy, you can see he could have kited down. He could have been kiting down that entire time. There was no way that Akali would have been able to kill him. Pillar comes out, Faker flashes away, perhaps not knowing about the Jace just outside of vision. Ends up getting sniped, so flash blown for no reason. And now we're going to enter into a bit of a lull state. And this is where things can begin to get a little bit scary. I would say at this point of the game, the Gangplank and the Victor are actually in a pretty okay position, assuming a team fight would break out. But T1, they have no obligation to fight. Kana really close to 13, and he's building Frozen Fist. And
yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about DRX needing to fight for every single dragon that comes up this game. I think they're going to have to, 3 minutes time. I don't think you can risk even one Mountain Drake, because their composition is all about, let's wipe someone out in the duration of, like, let's wipe a team out in the duration of a Chaos Storm, and you can't do that if all of the resistances are getting augmented. Plus, Canna is going to be an uber tank in the late game with a few Mountain Drakes stacked up on top, not to mention a possible Mountain Soul. If DRX, though, can get to a Mountain Soul with a 4 stack of mountains, that is going to mean Pioshik is absolutely unkillable. He puts Subjugate on Canna, and then they potentially are able to win team fights. Not to mention Chovy being able to frontline much more effectively with some free resistances on top of all the damage that Gangplank is going to be building up. As you can see, he does have a Null Magic Mantle. We'll see where that's actually going, as he might be building towards a more of Malmortius in theory. But I'd like to see that Caulfield's Warhammer turned into an Essence Reaver for the... oh, actually, no, it's not going to be. So this is going to be, once again, the Death's Dance build, I believe, because there's Boots of Lucidity. meaning that you're not going to be going for the extra 20% CDR on the Essence Reaver. So a slightly different, more tanky build once again, much like what Alfred Doctor is going for.
One of the things that is going on in this game is Sakana is in 13. He got both of the ornament upgrades already. So one level away from being able to start getting good. So Molten's going to come in with Steam Cleaver on the Grave, Salvation on the Guard. Everyone's going to have not just Paradox, also Creator. So T1, all the things right now is that deny fights, skate on the far right, left one, master hold and then fight around the objective. Now, DRX brought themselves a lot of time by getting that back out. Still like to win this next fight. DRX still has one more kick that would be an intro. That would obviously be the same point fight that would be inevitable. But the other flip side is that T1, I think has mentally accepted more favors to Chovy, and base levels aren't really keeping it up. Like that is actually going to be a more laborious for the game plan.
Severum armed on Teddy, moves down this river, and we'll just go back to bouncing minion waves back and forward in this mid lane. And that is good news for T1. The onus is not on them to do anything. So if they're playing ping pong, it's exactly where they need to be.
Well, 10 seconds until the dragon is going to come up. They are posturing around for it. They're fighting for vision. Cuz is level 12.5, not sure where Pyoshik is, but he does have level 11, so he does have that rank 2 ultimate available. But T1 with the low ground is exactly where they want to be. Horn has an upgrade of not electing to use it on anyone.
Yeah, Faker's actually going to be taken down very low here. Goes golden, gravity field is set up, flash comes down as there's the cannon barrage, stopping a lot of this re-engage from T1. Subjugate now on cooldown as DRX are just going to move over and take this outer turret as Death Rays are flying left, right, and center. Carrier, they're making sure that T1 aren't rotating over to this Drake. And now it looks like 3 members of T1 have been caught out of position. Cuz down to half health as DRX, they claim the low ground. Now it's time for T1 to find a way back in.
Yeah, and you can see Kana, just barely going to miss the Death Ray. He upgraded the Obsidian Cleaver here instead of Teddy's Molten Edge, which is a little bit surprising. They're going to go over the wall. They're going to flip.
Yeah, we're looking for a 50-50 as Faker's right into the backline. Great devour from Carrier, and Faker falls. Canna gets exhausted as it is going to be the Mountain Drake locked down by DRX, and they claim a couple of kills. Abyssal Voyage very aggressively on top of Cuz, who will get licked by Carrier and destroyed. But no, fantastic snare comes through from Effort. I don't know whether it's going to be enough as flashes forward from DRX, and they are not stopping Teddy. In trouble, the flash from Chovy, the Chaos Storm, not enough, and Teddy's going to survive. But the pings are down on the Baron.
The pings are going over to the Baron, and DRX managed to win a Mountain Dragon that I don't think anyone probably would have suspected them to win if you just rewinded the tape by like 45 seconds. T1 were in such a good position, but now they're the ones that got out muscle. Teleports coming in to try to do something.
This could
but
be
this should be
kill.
the Baron.
Faker's going to dive on in, and oh my god, Faker steals the Baron. He's turned it immediately. Takes down the jungler as well. Carrier, no options. This is an uber throw out of DRX, but a fantastic capitalization by T1. They ace DragonX in the Baron pit, and now the game might just be over.
The game might indeed be over, Atlas, as they have a minion wave in close proximity. But the death timers, I'm actually not sure. All right, at the very least, they should be able to get the inhibitor. They're not actually going to go for the end of the game. They're going to get the inhibitor. Well, they should actually leave the inhibitor alive. They shouldn't take it at this point. Instead, just, yes. Okay, you know what? You're not going to get to take it away. So they left the inhibitor up, and the reason that you don't want to take it right now is because this would not be a game-ending inhibitor. You would end up handing over thousands of free gold and XP to DRX that you would never be able to utilize in top lane. So they back off, not electing to take it. We'll go to the replay really quick first. Cuz goes over the wall, tries to actually eat the bat with the dragon, but Pyosik turns back around, wins the smite fight. Dragon went to 400. Faker biting off a lot more than he can chew. He's done this a lot this game, which is very uncharacteristic of him. So Cuz ends up getting tagged right there, and then this Chaos Storm that Def casts so late, you see, turns back around. And then because he turns back around, the Chaos Storm doesn't end up killing Teddy. And that changes everything because Helios here in this Baron fight. Faker gets in.
뒤에도 봤어. 뒤에 좋아.
And then really good play by Faker. All the MP usage to keep watching his teammates, looking around at lane stage, trying to assess what is the best option here. Same way an RTS player would look around the map and then try to deduce, okay, if we can do whatever is best, what would make the best play? And so really good camera control, always a pleasure to see his POV whenever it swaps to it.
And now, T1 pressuring this inner turret. They will be able to take that one down. In the meantime, Faker's in the mid lane, just keeping Deft and Pyosik busy. The wave clear offered by this Victor is not as powerful with this Baron buff applied. And T1 moving towards over a 5,000 gold lead right now. Teddy will take a shock blast, but they're not starting to do as much damage as DRX were really hoping, especially up against what should be a very squishy Aphelios. Faker moving on over. This is down to half health now on the inhibitor turret. Remember, the top inhibitor turret is already removed. The base is well and truly broken. Chovy moves over here. He still should have the upper hand in a 1v1 against Faker, but with these minions having to be dealt with, not exactly going to be an option. His effort just sitting there with a door to Narnia available if you would like it, and go through that wall. But looks like DRX have staved off T1 for the moment. The T1 recognize that they just play it slow, they will just forever keep scaling ahead of DRX.
Yeah. And DRX, I mean, the one thing that they have going for them is they have double mountain. And so they are getting 12% amp to the resistances as we do approach levels, 15 through 18 and whatnot. The base resistances are pretty high. So getting amplified by that. Also, they do have some other resistance items that they've picked up, and that's really good. Faker, he bought an Oblivion Orb, but there's not a whole bunch of healing on DRX that you would want to reduce. So the Void Staff would have penetrated a lot more, as he does pick up a blasting one, so we'll see if he does build that into Void. Kana ended up going for Stoneplate third, but against all the mass AoE that comes out by DRX, Solari would have it would have been really nice, but lots of resistances on their side. If they can pick up the next Mountain Dragon, that'll obviously be good, but this is going to be a really key fight.
And we'll see whether DRX can once again work a miracle, as you can see that low ground that we were talking about certainly in the hands of T1 right now. As Doran is going to make his way in. Edge of Night completed for the Jace, so we'll be able to play a little bit more recklessly. And this Dragon has already been started. Flanking position for Faker, as you can already see. Double control wards are put down. But look, this Dragon is just already taken. Cuz is going to be able to eliminate it. And DRX unable to do anything. And here's the Ornhorn to try and go for the re-engage. Double knock up there on the Pyosik and Carrier. And there's the Cannon Barrage. Faker gets into the backline. Hasn't done anything just yet, though. This is going to get shot by Chovy a few times. Redemption coming on in. And that is going to get Faker back up to relatively high health. Flash is going to be flashed by Carrier, as Deft making his way in, but not able to actually follow up with this Chaos Storm, as Teddy not going to be displaced by that pillar. Pyosik throwing down the flash, getting nothing for it, and that is just Soul Point given over to T1 with no response from DragonX.
Yep, and so T1, they bring themselves to Soul Point. All they have to do now is wave clear endlessly for about 5 minutes. Teddy flashing those, really dangerous. He won't have that now for the Soul Point fight.
That's actually a huge deal, the timing on that flash.
Yeah. As Zhonya's Paradox ends up being upgraded via the Ornament. All the Ornament items have almost been completed right now. The only one still remaining is Salvation on Bard. And all the items across the board, I mean, we're reaching that end stage right now where DRX, they're going to try to fight for this Baron. This is really key. This is going to be the closest that they ever come again to being able to beat T1, because now as we move forward in the game, this is where the utility items will start coming in for T1 that make the team fighting for DRX a lot more problematic. Gangplank doesn't really have any other item that he's going to be coasting towards that's really going to change his dynamic in a fight. I mean, Victor's building Morello, and this is going to be it, Atlas. I think this Baron dance will probably spell the fate of the game, because if DRX gets it, they'll convert it into another mountain, and then that'll bring it to soul point for both teams, as well as swing the gold back in their favor. But if T1 gets it, I think the game just ends.
I think so too. And maybe DRX are going to flip that coin a little bit early, as the Baron is currently being positioned around. Good snare, but Doran not going to be able to find the Shock Blast. Acceleration Gate will keep him safe. His teleport in from Faker. Feels like T1 might have found some sort of flanking maneuver, but no, not going to go for it just yet. Remember, the battlefield can be manipulated by this Bard, who can just sort of turn up whenever he wants to. But it might be the Bard getting caught out of position. A very small journey is going to be taken, but it will be enough as T1 move over, and they are able to regain all of that vision control around the Baron that they were looking for.
Well, they're going to push in the mid wave first. They're going to try to get vision control over this. Might even be able to go over and take the red buff away as well. The Jace or the Gangplank as Kana's caught out.
Yeah, going to be able to get the knock up there as Deft gets devoured, gets spat out again. Good knock up there from Carrier. Deft has to flash to get himself out of the way. Faker immediately exhausted, dives onto Deft, who's already dead actually. Defelios takes him down as Chovy, the last real man standing who can do any damage, but Doran is going to be there. Effort chasing after Carrier now. They're just going to give up their Tahm Kench as Doran moves on back. A minute and a half until that Mountain Drake is available. And Chovy should be able to get the back off here. No, not able to, as he's hit by the Forge Fire Cape. Effort turns up, doesn't land the Cosmic Binding, as Chovy trying to do the impossible, takes a magical journey, wants to take down the Bard, but he's just gone back and forth through this journey. Can he actually take him down here, though, is the question. He's going to get that lifeline, a lot of extra lifesteal now available for this Gangplank, who's going to get knocked up, and there is the boop with the Brittle, and Canna is going to take him down.
Yeah, now they're going to teleport over to the Baron. Chovy not going to be available for this, even though he would have a teleport or his ultimate when he would come up. This is just going to be the Baron going over to T1. This is going to convert into the Mountain Soul, and I can't see a way where DRX is supposed to win the next team fight, Atlas. I really don't see it in any foreseeable universe, as I just want to point out Faker, a bit of a savant, did build
I saw it.
The Void Staff. As we take a look at this, so Kana, he gets caught out right here, but it doesn't matter because the angle from DRX doesn't really matter. Faker gets a flank off for free. There's no phalanx by DRX, which is so important for the Gangplank and the Victor to be able to fight, and then it's run for the hills out of DRX, as they can't really find any leg to stand on. Chovy busy fighting with the Raptors, and that actually delays him so much. Didn't end up getting the recall off in the end, and then was brought down and killed. So now we come here into live.
Damn, Chovy is so close to level 18. As T1, they've decided that fighting for a Mountain Drake, not necessarily all that much of a big deal, but DRX are getting in here. Tempered Fate comes down. Single knockup from Canna isn't the best, as Chovy's in this Drake pit. Goes golden with his stopwatch, but he's still in danger and will be taken out as Cuz locks down the Mountain Soul, and T1 are staring down a Game 1 win. Faker diving into the back line. And now Doran trying to run, but he's not going to be able to. 5 members of T1 just launching after him. He buys a small amount of time, but it's a double kill for Faker. A 10,000 gold lead and a Game 1 win for T1.
And I think that that's just going to be it. There's no way for DRX to sort of resist this push. I mean, Carrier, he's going to try what he can, but none of the members are going to come up in time. Magical Journey to help just get some of the members across, and this is going to be Game 1 going over to T1. Even though there was some shakiness, they almost actually threw the game away, but they managed to remain steadfast. They brought it back. Yeah.
But these are the Nexus turrets falling down. T1, Game 1 in this best of 5, pretty comfortably in the end go their way, but there were some moments that can certainly show us this could be a very exciting best of 5.